Same people who own the labels own the prisons.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Some records are made by committee, meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. You have, the record company pushing the narrative. Some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full.
Man, oh man, as if Diddy's situation wasn't bad enough already, and by the looks of it, even the CIA is getting involved in all the Diders Shades dealings. Man, it's coming down.
Partying together. So in the authorities' mind, they feel like Puff knew what Meech was doing. Then with the introduction to Jacob and different people, and a lot of people going to jail for money laundering and stuff like that, Puff being, and this is documented, Puff being a CI for an FBI agent. I said this years ago, that Kim and Kirk Burroughs took some paperwork. They was taking some papers up to the FBI, so like when they was here in New York. They was taking paperwork up there and stuff like that. Don't know what it was, but later on found out that he was a CI.
As far as Meek Mills, Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these niggas, all you fake hard niggas, you. Because you can't shoot nobody anyway, and the reason why you got to talk is because you did a deal, you fed. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got to come at me, because part of the
CI. You understand? Now, what happens? He don't have that. The guy probably, that was 20-some years ago. The guy probably retired. Puff ain't dealing with him. No, he didn't pass Puff on or something like that. So now, Puff been dodging the legal system. With the, people had it wrong. They think it was with the Black Mafia family. No, it was with Butt Naked. I said this years ago. The person that he said is his senior advisor, Corey Jacobs. Corey had 9 16-to-life sentences for drug trafficking. You make him your senior advisor, even though that was your man, he coming home. That's your man, pots and pans. But Wook was the one who took care of them when they was away. You understand? Wook was the one who took care of them. So now, you got all these, these characters, around you. What they gonna think when they come to your house?
Now this comes straight from Ice Cube, who has exposed how hip-hop industry works, saying that the CIA actually manufactures rap culture for their own dark motives.
It's the secret meeting that changed rap music and destroyed a generation.
Damn.
So it says, hello. After more than 20 years, I finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed in 1991, which I believe was one of the biggest turning points in popular music and ultimately American society. I have struggled for a long time weighing the pros and cons of making my story public, as I was reluctant to implicate the individuals who were present that day. So I've simply decided to leave out the names and all the details that may risk my personal well-being and that of those who were, like me, dragged into something they weren't ready for.
Damn.
Hold on, let me
So we gonna tell the story.
We gonna tell the story. We ain't scared.
You know what I'm saying? What they gonna do?
They after us, not playing.
Look, that black van.
So look, so he says, between the late 80s and early 90s, I was what you may call a decision maker with one of the more established companies in the music industry. I came to Europe in the early 80s and quickly established myself in the business. The industry was different back then, since technology and media weren't accessible to people like that, like they are today. The industry had more control over the public and had the means to influence them any way it wanted.
Right.
This may explain why in early 1991, I was invited to attend a closed-door meeting with a small group of business insiders to discuss rap music's new direction. Rap music's new direction.
Yeah.
Little did I know we would be asked to participate in one of the most unethical and destructive business practices ever seen.
Crazy.
So this was the meeting. The meeting was held at a private residence on the outskirts of Los Angeles. I remember about 25 to 30 people were being there.
Right.
Most of them familiar faces. Speaking of those I knew, we joked about the theme of the meeting, as many of us did not care for rap and failed to see the purpose of being invited to a private meeting to discuss the future of hip-hop.
Talk to him.
Among the attendees was a small group of unfamiliar faces who stayed to themselves and made no attempt to socialize beyond their circle. Based on their behavior and formal appearances, they didn't seem to be from our industry. Our casual chatter was interrupted when we were asked to sign the confidentiality agreement, preventing us from publicly discussing the information presented during the meeting. Needless to say, this intrigued, in some cases, disturbed many of us. The agreement was only a page long, but very clear on matters and consequences, which stated that violating the terms would result in job termination immediately. We asked several people what this meeting was about and the reason for such secrecy, but could not find anyone who had the answers for us. A few people refused to sign and walked out. Nobody stopped them. I was tempted to follow, but curiosity got the best of me.
That's right.
A man who was part of the unfamiliar group collected all the agreements from us.
John Holston, a retired CIA agent, has gone on the record to reveal that the CIA influenced gangster rap culture with record label owners like Diddy, who was working with the government to throw young.
Quickly after this meeting began, one of the industry colleagues, who shall remain nameless like everybody else, thanked us for attending. He then gave the floor to a man who only introduced himself by first name and gave no other details about his personal background. I think he was the owner of the residence, but that was never confirmed. He briefly praised all of us for the success we had achieved in our industries and congratulated us for being selected as part of this small group of decision makers. At this point, I began to feel slightly uncomfortable and the strangeness of this gathering. The subject quickly changed as the speaker went on to tell us that the respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry, which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement.
Damn.
He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments.
American rapper Crazy Bone read out a letter from John Holston on the record explaining how one meeting with the FBI changed the world of hip-hop forever.
Then he says, I remember many of us in the group immediately looking at each other in awe and confusion. At the same time, I didn't know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates. The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons. It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares.
Okay, man, according to him, record labels have been working with the CIA to ensure 90% or higher prison capacity by promoting criminal activity and gangster culture to Black youth.
Most of us were taken back by this. Again, a couple of people asked what this had to do with us. At this point, my industry colleague who had first opened the meeting took the floor again and answered our questions. He told us that since our employees had become solid investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remain filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promote criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employees, we'd also be able to buy stocks in these prisons.
And how does the CIA get rap moguls to do all this while they use every trick in the book, including extortion, blackmail, and strong-arm tactics to ensure cooperation by rap artists?
Retired CIA agent John Holston admitted this week that the CIA was behind the creation of gangster rap in the 80s in order to glamorize criminal behavior and fill private prisons. The US government spent vast sums of money on this covert operation, which was designed to create division and corrupt the American youth to nihilist and anti-American ideologies. According to the former agent, famous hip-hop lyrics of the legendary hip-hop outfit NWA were scripted by a team of psychologists and war propagandists inside the CIA. The police and other anti-establishment lyrics were intended to unleash a wave of cynicism towards authorities, promote the use of narcotics, and glamorize the gangster life in the minds of impressionable young people. The CIA worked in tandem with the music industry elites to create a funnel in which young people would be indoctrinated with brainwashing gangster rap music, introduced to a life of crime, and then delivered to the highly profitable private prison system. In order to create this funnel, the CIA introduced music industry owners to the private prison industry. Once the funnel was in place, the system was a lock.
After the CIA started paying them for their own agenda, now these rappers would glamorize criminal behavior, and that includes the entire East Coast and West Coast dispute that Diddy was involved in. And you know what, let's say it how it is, man, there was a lot of people who are starting to see through Diddy's shade, because how is it that he keeps on committing these crimes and then getting away with them, unless he's already in with the FBI and now with the CIA?
Diddy had cameras in every room. Everybody came over and doing all kinds of stuff. He has dirt on everybody. Do you think he was an agent?
Yes, I think a CIA agent would be my guess, and I think that a lot of the people in the rap music industry are. And I'll say this as someone.
Wait.
Yeah.
You think a lot are?
Yes, because Glenn, again, there's no reason for you to know all these details. Rap probably hasn't been your thing, but it has been mine ever since I was a kid. And so I've followed the rap music industry. Right now, there's so little talent, actual talent, that in rap music. And so it doesn't require some level of skill. And so these people are clearly selected. A Sexy Red or a Cardi B or a bunch of these very popular rappers. Now, they have no talent. So how do they get picked? How does everybody fit the profile of someone who, if they weren't a rapper, there's nothing else on the planet that they're capable of really doing other than being a rap music celebrity? And so, yeah, I think all of these people are picked, they're groomed, and then they're giving talk. The music industry gives them rapping points or talking points or things they have to support and believe in what the music has to be. I think, again, the people that want to bring down America and the freedoms that we have taken for granted here in America, they're using this particular art form or music form to help accomplish those goals. And that's why, it's run by a very, very criminal element, not just the artists, but the people in charge of the record labels. It's a band of criminals, and I think the government has dirt on all of them. Kanye West has said in an interview, hey, look, they can't pressure me the way they pressure some of these other artists because I've never committed murder. He said that, and he said it as a way of saying they have dirt on these other artists so they can control them. They don't have that kind of dirt on me. That's why I'm harder to control.
You know what, and not just Candace Owens. All right, Jason Whitlock has also gone on the record to talk about how Diddy is an asset for the FBI.
Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these niggas, all you fake hard niggas, you. Hold on. Okay. All you fake hard niggas, you. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't shoot nobody anyway, and the reason why you got to talk is because you did a deal, you fed. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got to come at me, because part of the deal for you to be able to do all that and get out of jail is that you promise that you're going to go pull my co-car. So y'all niggas shut the up about me.
But let's not forget the first person to have exposed Diddy for his involvement with the FBI was Kanye, who was made fun of at the time, but now everything he said in the past seems to make a lot of sense, don't he?
It was well known that Jeffrey Epstein had at least casual links to the Mossad, which is the Israeli Secret Service. And of course, what he was doing, just like Roy Cohn back in the day, was filming his cohorts doing illegal and immoral things. and using them as blackmail, probably funneling them to the Mossad or the CIA or whichever intelligence services he was working for. Now, was Diddy being used in a similar fashion as an agent or a shill of an intelligence service? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. But as we're all starting to find out, in this brave new world, anything is possible. What is almost certain, though, is that Diddy is a predator and a thug.
Is Diddy the new Epstein? Let's look at some of these tweets here today. The feds are going to cover up everything with P. Diddy to protect the elite. Was Diddy the new Epstein? Is that why when they raided his homes, they did it knowing that he wasn't in any of them? So people online are connecting dots here with the same thing that Diddy did and Epstein. And legal experts are saying that Sean Diddy Combs could end up staying in prison forever. But there's so many people speculating that there are fake Diddys out there, or people that they're going to take and it's not really him. So let's talk about the similarities of what they did. Someone said, I wouldn't be surprised if this is another Epstein or R. Kelly tape type of case. Now, here's the thing. In Diddy's parties, he had hidden cameras in all of his houses, and he would have these parties and put people in compromising positions, and he would use this as blackmail so that he had power. The same way as who?
And people can't help but notice all the similarities between Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein, considering that Epstein was also recording people in compromissive situations and being an informant from aid. There were athletes, there were celebrities, there were politicians, people from the royal family. And we were also told by the former bodyguard that Diddy was an FBI informant. Whoa. So he was a snitch and was feeding information to the feds. And we don't know what that means. We haven't been able to confirm it, but even Little Rod said it's not just like Epstein. It could be worse than Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, let me ask you this. When you're seeing something like that, do you think, you know how somebody is making money for you, you can't lose them because they're still making money for you, right? So, for example, like an athlete, LeBron James, he's still getting a lot of endorsements. He's still making a lot of money.
Considering the fact that he invited all kinds of high-profile people to his parties and then recorded him doing their freak-offs, y'all can't even begin to imagine the kind of dirt that he's got on these people.
Was Diddy a Fed?
I mean, it's a good question, right? Like, I think the main question is, what do you define as a Fed? I think a lot of people think of feds and CIA agents as like, I have an ID card and like I did a job application and I am their employee. But that's not how like intelligence agencies work, right? Like intelligence agencies cultivate relationships. Like the whole point of covert operations is plausible deniability.
I think to answer this question, we're gonna have to go back in time to the 90s when crack was everywhere. Wasn't the CIA doing that? Is that what it was?
That's the rumor. I don't think that there's been I don't know what has that been actually confirmed or what is official. But the story
pretty close to confirmed.
Yeah, the story is that the CIA was selling drugs in the United States, so that in order to fund arms purchases for, I think it was Nicaragua.
Yeah, Nicaraguan Contras.
And let's just say that the entire Pandora's box that's opened up with all these allegations against Diddy has led to a lot of people to start questioning Diddy's connections with the authorities.
Diddy's ex Cassie has been in touch with the authorities in the federal investigation, and this has got Jay-Z very worried. Sources with direct knowledge say Cassie is among the witnesses the feds have been in contact with in connection with the Diddy investigation. They're told she's been working with investigators for several weeks, even before Diddy's homes were raided. So given the timing, it seems Cassie may have helped the feds establish probable cause to get a judge to sign off on the search warrants. Other women have also been in contact with federal investigators, but we don't know which ones. We also don't know what Cassie has told the feds, but it probably mirrors the lawsuit she filed against Diddy.
On in the case and all the news about Cassie and Diddy's other victims working with the feds to expose Diddy once for all. Is the tide about to change, or has Diddy gone way too far for the authorities to protect him anymore? And then just look at people surrounding about Diddy like Jay-Z, and by extension of Jay-Z, you also have got Beyonce, who's out there trying to run around and be the counterculture of the gangster rap, which he's probably just as deep in it as everybody else. Cause let's be real, brothers and sisters, there's only one way out of this for most of the youth, and it is not a good way out now. Go forth and share the message, brothers and sisters, cause the revolution will be televised.